I moved into a new flat just over a year ago, and since then I've mostly kept to myself. I have autism, plus ADHD, plus social anxiety. So as you'd imagine, it's kind of hard for me to socialize and to introduce myself to new people and get to know them. This is relevant, I swear. My upstairs neighbor is a young guy. I don't want to say anything too bad about him, since most of my suspicions are based on just things I've seen happen around his flat. But I will say that he reminds me a lot of my mother, who was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and that sometimes I heavily suspect he's a dealer too. But like I said, I only have my suspicions and no actual proof of that. Basically, I feel kind of uncomfortable when he's around me and make a point to not be outside when he or his friends are. Yesterday, though, I ran into him in the morning, and his behavior was a little off. He was staggering a little, and he kept approaching, hesitating, and then returning back to his front door. He did this maybe 5 times as I was wheeling my way back to my house. I'm newly disabled, so I'm still kind of awkward in my wheelchair, especially outside with the uneven ground and hills. I ignored this, but when I reached my front door, which is directly beside his, he spoke to me and told me something that makes me feel a bit nauseous. He basically said that sometimes when he's smoking in his back garden at night, he looks at me through my open curtain as I'm asleep. He said he does this because he's curious about me and that he feels he's allowed to be. He says if I would talk to him and visit him more, he wouldn't have to go stealth mode. I just laughed it off and locked myself in my flat. I usually sleep with my curtains partially open because my cat likes being nosy, and the curtains I have are blackout ones, so I like to let some light in. The pitch darkness makes me nervous, but I don't like leaving lights on all night because I'm paranoid about fire. Another thing is that my back garden is entirely fenced in, but the fence between our gardens is shorter for some reason. And I'm pretty sure that in order to see into my window, he'd have to either lean a whole lot, which would probably be uncomfortable as much for him, or he'd have to actually be in my garden, which I don't want to think about right now, honestly. I'll obviously be closing my curtains from now on, but every time I'm in my room now, I'm looking out the window, paranoid that he's going to be leaning over the fence watching me